Nigeria is confronted with more problems, for instance, we will expect that Nigerians will move naturally to Ghana, not necessarily to the immediate neighbor, Benin Republic or Togo. Why? Because the factor, the linguistic factor, the common cultural background, and the shared values, all these naturally compel them. Now, how many minutes more, please? Hello?
Yes, sir. It's actually time up. I was just going to signal you to wrap up.
Okay, all right.
Yes, sir.
I will give you, let me give you the conclusion,
All right, sir.
recommendations forward, because in this case, what is happening is that if we are to move forward, I think that there is the need for reciprocal apology for the various expulsions to provide a basis for healing of wounds and reconciliation. It was wrong for the Ghanaian government to have expelled Nigerians. It was fundamentally wrong for the government of Nigeria to have expelled Ghanaians from their own second home. They shouldn't have behaved like the Nazi government, embarking on deportation. Africans have this culture of tolerance and accommodation. Secondly, I believe that regional and continental integration will be very difficult to achieve for as long as African countries in general and Nigeria-Ghana relationship, and their actors continue to behave like as if they are not Africans. No, Africans, we are Africans. What makes us Africans? What makes us good? Why God created the black man better than any other creation in the world is this fact that
Yes,
we are very tolerant. Above all, there is the need to establish an association of Ghana Nigeria citizen diplomats to complement official diplomacy. And I think that what we have started is quite good. And I will conclude finally with this particular statement. Hello?
Yes, sir. Go on, sir.
With Ramblers Dance Band. In the 60s, there was
Yes,
this
sir.
record of his, Jayo Jayo Menido Briazo, Menido Briazo, dun dun dun, Mini Sesi, dash dash
I
dash.
see Professor
So,
Ajiman is really enjoying that.
so please, I conclude on that to say that you must do whatever is possible now to make this a platform for a new beginning. Citizen diplomacy is what is required, and as the publisher of the Diplomat pointed out, please, when issues arise, they can be discussed at the level of people to people, iron out, and then we can impact on government official diplomacy. I thank you for your kind invitation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so very much. Really, really appreciate that. By the way, your tree was so spot on. I think
Okay.
Professor Bafo Ajimandua will be willing to give you a Ghanaian passport so that we can start a reciprocal apology from that side.
Yes.
Yes, so thank you so much, sir. You've given so many good highlights, talking points, and how we need to engage in reciprocal apology, which is very important. And again, the most important for me is the Ghana-Nigeria citizen diplomats, if you're able to set that up. But my question is always that, in spite of all these challenges we've had, both leadership of both countries have been able to look beyond all these deportations. They are close friends. When you see the President Akufo-Addo and President Buhari chit chat, you wonder if it's just the same country and it's different brothers. But the citizens have not been able to move on. I think this is one of the things we'll discuss when after the presentation, and we break out into a panel Thank you so much once again, sir. We really do appreciate you. And
Thank you.
with your song that you use in ending it, I think you've made the entry of our next speaker very easy. You've just given him a song that will herald his arrival. So, just to also inform us, please, if you are here and you have colleagues around to join and they're not able to, they could just join us on Facebook. We are live on Facebook right now. On Facebook, look for Nido Ghana, Nigerian Diaspora Organization Ghana, and you can join us there live. So now let's move on to our next speaker. And our next speaker is a man that I definitely respect so much. Is a man that I know has a lot to offer us, or at least our generation, just like Professor Akinterewa just did. He's also a professor and is the head of the CEO of the John Ajekun Kufuor Foundation. Professor Bafo Ajimandua was appointed the Chief Executive Officer of the John Ajekun Kufuor Foundation in 2014 by the founder, His Excellency John Ajekun Kufuor, who is the former President of the Republic of Ghana. Earlier, before then, he worked for the United Nations from 2005 to 2013, first as Senior Governance Advisor in Tanzania and subsequently as Senior Special Advisor to the United Nations Mission in Liberia. He was Associate Executive Director, Ghana Center for Democratic Development, that's CDD Ghana, which is an independent public policy think tank, which he co-founded in 1998. That's about 22 years ago, I think. He continues to serve on the Center's board, even as a Center's Board of Governors. Professor Ajimandua studied at the University of Cape Coast, Ohio University, and the University of Denver, where he earned the PhD degree. As a former university professor, he taught at the University of North Carolina, USA, and between 1994 and 1996, served as Fulbright Professor at the Legon Center for International Affairs of the University of Ghana. He has published over a dozen articles in academic journals, monographs, edited and authored 4 books, including Ghana, Governance in Fourth Republic, which he did in 2008, and his autobiography, My Ghanaian Odyssey, which he published in 2012. With this short profile, join me as we welcome Professor Bafo Ajimandua. Thank you so much, sir. Please unmute.
Thank you for a very wonderful introduction. Let me begin by saying that I now, even though I haven't met Professor Akinterewa, I now understand why he chose to go into scholarship and diplomacy. Because if I ventured into music, it would have been a total flop. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks for your wonderful presentation, Prof. I think he's done a great job laying out basically the foundation, both in theory and practice, of international relations and diplomacy. So it makes my job very easy. And I'm not going to go there at all, but rather to focus on something a little bit more, I would say mundane, but certainly something practical in the relations between Ghana and Nigeria. And I think the moderator did a good job in his earlier comments, opening comments, when he mentioned that in fact Ghana and Nigeria in West Africa represent perhaps the key countries. And somebody said if the two countries catch a cold or we cough, then other countries in the sub-region will catch cold. So I think that's for very good reasons of human resource power, as well as economic power and cultural power also in the region. So, hello? Ghana is hot. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Okay, great. So then let me begin by quickly referring you to perhaps the roots of these relationships. As most of you will know, in the 40s, West African political leaders were all students in the United Kingdom. And that's where the first generation of African leaders really emerged. And we know that Nkrumah, Nandi Azikiwe, and many other leaders of these colonies met in Nigeria and discussed the emancipation of Africa. So it's not surprised that once they came back and started the independence struggles, they kept together. And once these countries became independent, they also kept together. And that, I think, is an important point to make. And the fact that, as the moderator related, the fact that Nkrumah invited journalists, 57, to come from Nigeria to cover the independence celebration. And the same was done in 1960 when Nigeria also got its independence. All these are important landmarks. And I'm making all these points to come to a central point for my presentation, which is that it is the centrality of leaders in the relations between nations that tend to influence the kind of relation that will exist between those nations. I'm highlighting all factors recognized, but I'm highlighting the centrality of leadership in countries. And my brief presentation will demonstrate why. First of all, we understand that leaders, or leadership generally, demonstrate the kind of orientation that a country may have. That is to say, the leader's orientation, and more importantly, his or her philosophy is key. The other side I want to mention, the second point, is the vision of the leader. How the leader sees the future, not only of his or her country, but that of the region in which he is located. So if you take Nkrumah, for instance, the Pan-Africanist movement that my good friend related earlier was the case because of the orientation and the vision of Prime Nkrumah at the time. So a lot of emphasis was placed on how not only in West Africa, but the African continent can relate so that eventually United Africa could be achieved. And that's very important, even in the relations between Ghana and Nigeria. The second point I also want to make, because both the moderator and the previous speaker have stressed it, which is that, in fact, one of the key recommendations by Professor was the reciprocal apologies that must be made for the expulsion that took. Let's situate that also in the context of the economy at these times. And then we realize that whenever the economic conditions in one country gets rocky, it tends to affect relations. Because the expulsions of Huzia, for instance, in the 1970 and Nigeria in the early 80s, 82 or so, all these were periods in these countries when the economy were really facing serious challenges. So these are the two key things I'm passing to. Now let me try to actualize these things in a more concrete way. If you take Nkrumah and Balewa, for instance, even though, as I say, most of them became friends, or at least they became acquaintances when they were in England, because of the vision and perhaps the orientation of Nkrumah, you know that he and Balewa were not the best of friends, because Balewa's thinking and orientation were quite different. I hope you know that. And during that period, even though there were no real rocky relations between Ghana and Nigeria, it wasn't the best, because even in the formation of the OAU, Organization of African Unity, we know that Balewa was not an enthusiastic supporter of Nkrumah's stance that was seeking immediate unification of the continent. So that is one demonstration of the issue of leadership and the orientation and the vision of the leaders. That's very important. Then when we come to Buzier's period, again, it's been mentioned already, the Aliens Compliance Order of 1970 by Buzier. Buzier, as you know, was a conservative who even backpedaled on the decision to impose sanctions on apartheid South Africa. And that was not a pleasing policy to most Ghanaians, but because of his orientation and vision, which was short-sighted, I should say, he wasn't, and he embarked on this policy. Of course, at the same time also, the economy of the country was in shambles. So again, this whole idea of expelling Nigerians in 1970, I would like to put in the context of these two important factors. Then came a Champon, who ruled for 7 years, a military ruler. Interestingly, and there's so much I can say, but time will not permit me. All I can say about this is that a Champon, by the way, went to military academy with some leading Nigerian military officers, including Obasanjo, who I'll be mentioning in detail very soon, including Yakubu Gowon, and almost all these things. So a Champon had a when he came, he quickly decided to restore relations for good reasons. He was the one who initiated the Ghana-Nigerian Games. People have forgotten that. And there was a soccer and other athletic competition between the two countries as part of rebuilding the relations that had been fractured by Buzier's Aliens Compliance Order. So again here, we see the orientation of a military person tying in with their own personal friendships with the leaders of Nigeria, making it possible for the two countries to come back again closely to relate. And in fact, when Rawlings came into power, you should know that your head of state at the time was not pleased. Obasanjo was not pleased at all because he was a good friend. They were cadet colleagues at the military academy. And Rawlings came and decided to dispose of these guys in the most brutal way in terms of executions. And we know that that really ruffled Obasanjo and others in the Nigerian leadership at the time. But again, there were no. But again, we see that was during Rawlings' time that this decision to expel Nigerians, to expel Ghanaians in Nigeria took place. I don't know whether it was partly due to Obasanjo and others' own dislike for the new military leader Rawlings or other factors. They also know that during that period, the economy of the country was not in the best of shape. Then let me go on to Kufuor and Obasanjo. And here I will share a very personal experience, which by the way occurred only yesterday, last night. Former President Obasanjo is in Accra. There will be a function tonight. And he was hosted by my boss for dinner, and I had the privilege of sharing the dinner with them. And there are interesting conversations as usual when these two brothers meet. In fact, they call each other brother before Obasanjo and Kufuor. And one of the stories, I knew it already, but it was repeated, was that when Kufuor took over power, Ghana was in a dire economic straits. Within the first few months, he went to Nigeria, went to Obasanjo, and yesterday I asked them, what was the source of your friendship? How did you get to know each other? And they told me the story, but let me come straight to the point. Kufuor went there. At the time, Ghana had, according to President Kufuor, had not more than 80 vehicles across the country for the Ghana Police Service. He appealed to Obasanjo. Obasanjo quickly, that was the time Nigeria was assembling Peugeot vehicles. He sent 100 of them right away. And Kufuor said they drove all of them across the borders into Ghana. Then also, Ghana had a serious problem with oil because apparently over the years, Rawlings had not been making payments for the imports that were coming to the refinery here in Tema, Accra. We have accumulated so much that Nigeria had decided to cut off supplies. So Ghana was again starved. And here too, on the appeal to Obasanjo, Obasanjo gave some very easy terms from 60-day to 90-day grace, make payments and all. But I'm citing these two things again to let you see how personalities, how friendship, how leadership, how vision could influence the relations between nations, in this case between Ghana and Nigeria. So if you notice, throughout the 8 years of Kufuor, there was no ruffled relations. I mean, it was generally very smooth and very cordial, all because the leadership of the two countries could get along on different and various levels. So again here, I'm emphasizing the centrality of leadership in the relations between nations. And finally, somebody mentioned Akufo-Addo and Buhari. Yes, when they meet, I think they talk well. I don't know if there's any personal rapport. I don't know. But now Akufo-Addo being the ECOWAS chairman, I'm sure if nothing at all, professionally, he has to relate well to Nigeria because Nigeria is a key player in ECOWAS. So here, and I'm running up my conversation by stressing again that if we are going to go forward with a very good relation between the two countries, now the first thing we look at is the vision, orientation, and philosophy of leaders. That's very important. And that may translate into the kind of economic engagement relation that the two countries ought to have. Because now that we are forming the ECOWAS community and all, we have to know that our borders are going to be open. But now most leaders in the South region have not come to that level of comfort where borders and trade relations can be freely done. So in the recent conflict, so to speak, between Ghana and Nigeria over closing of shops in Kumasi and Accra and all, the trade issues, because even though ECOWAS allows for free entries for 90 days or so, still countries do retain certain laws that are inimical to free trade. So these are the kinds of challenges that I think through ECOWAS, these countries should begin to break down or do away with such laws so there can be peaceful relations in the area of trade amongst ECOWAS nations. And here I will conclude by saying that even then, it's important to have the kinds of leaders who see this mutuality of interest so that new laws that have been passed, other kinds of measures that must be taken to allow for better relations can be pushed. So thank you, Mr. Moderator, for your time. Thank you so much.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate you. It's a pleasure hearing you speak, like I always say, sir. And thank you for accepting to be one of our speakers for today. You rightly said, sir, the leadership at every time plays a key role in the relationship or the kind of relationship both countries have. And I believe, I don't know how we can get the leaders to be more interactive or to be more engaging or to be more tolerant or to have a great relationship. Maybe we should go back to the beginning, what you said happened in France or in the UK, where all our leaders met and there was unity of purpose. Maybe we need to create a general pool for West African leaders where we can always draw from so that we know we have one agenda and one purpose to achieve. Thank you so much, sir. We will definitely get into that as we proceed, break out into the session. Thank you. And I believe we all have been enjoying the time we're having with our great speakers. I'm calling the third person to lead us in this session. And after that, we will break into a panel session and to have a more engaging discussion. Now, the third speaker is another man who has vast knowledge of West Africa. His knowledge and his interaction with the activities that happen in West Africa, it's so comforting that you feel that with people like this, if they are given the chance to just mediate in West Africa, the solution is at our fingertips. Mr. Emmanuel Habuka Bombande is a senior mediation advisor on the standby team of the Mediation Support Unit, that's the DPPA, and he's an experienced process design advisor who recently served as a senior mediation advisor to the head of UN Multidimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in the Central African Republic. Prior to that, he served until January 2017 in the government of Ghana as the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister. Before that, he was a special assistant to the SRSG, Mohammed Ibn Chambers of the UN Office for West Africa and the Sahel. Is a peace-building practitioner, international trainer in conflict mitigation and prevention across Africa and beyond, with a strong background in conflict analysis. He has been a lead mediator in many community-based mediation efforts in West Africa. For his love for peacekeeping and peace building, he co-founded the West African Network for Peace Building, WANEP, a well-established peace-building organization, and ran it for decades. He is a recipient of peace awards from Ghana, Burkina Faso, and the Center for Justice and Peace Building of the Eastern Mennonite University in Virginia, USA. And trust me, those are just few of the awards that he has received. He has published several publications in papers and contributed to many book chapters. He is a fellow of the Society for Peace Studies and Practice of the University of Ibadan in Nigeria and the Kroc Institute of International Peace Studies of the University of Notre Dame, Indiana, USA. Join me as we welcome Mr. Emmanuel Habuka Bombande. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. And to all the eminent men and women in this webinar, I'm very privileged and humbled to be able to join you. First of all, happy 60th independence anniversary to our big brothers and sisters of Nigeria. In the 10 minutes I have, my task is simple in the sense that the previous speakers, and I extend my warm compliments and respects to them, have already alluded to the historical relationships that are unique between the people of Ghana and the people of Nigeria. Allow me to do this in mentioning particularly the names of the panelists, Professor Bola Akinteriwa, Ambassador Bulus Lolo, I guess Mr. Adeyomo has probably not yet come on, but I wanted to do this to mention my very good friend, Professor Bafo Ajimandua, somebody I had the joy of always working with when he was director with the Center for Democratic Development of Ghana. What Professor Akinteriwa mentioned and emphasized is where I wanted to begin from. This very important aspect of a people-to-people relationship that now can be anchored on our Ghana-Nigeria relationship. And as the previous speakers have elaborated, the relationships between Ghana and Nigeria existed even before these two countries were founded on the modern concept of the state as we know them today. And whether it was through trade, through various movements, students in academic institutions, as Professor Bafo Ajimandua alluded to, so many of these brought us very close together. In fact, I'm even told houses from northern Nigeria were brought into Ghana to boost the British Army in fighting the Ashanti Empire. Can you imagine? We were even involved in one way or the other to fight our common colonial master. And whether we like it or not, something happened to make our relationships to become what they are. And so as we celebrate 60 years of Nigeria's independence, and as it has already been emphasized, there is a real opportunity for us to pause, reflect, and reset the button and ask ourselves, when we evaluate ourselves as two peoples, what is it that we stand to gain from our relationships that is unique? And people often talk about the relationships of the siblings, in which it doesn't matter what we say and it doesn't matter what we do. We simply cannot walk away from one another. In my work of peace building practice, I like the metaphor of walking together. Walking together simply means you hold hands and you walk together. If you decide to separate and walk in different ways, what siblings do is to get back and walk together. And that is why the hiccups of the past, as Professor Bola reminded us, were the times we refused to walk together. But then we realized that we must come back and walk together. And that is the essence of his proposal about reconciling. Because conciliatus, which is a Latin root on which we prefix it with re to make reconciliation, conciliatus actually begins with the concept of working together. So it is time for Ghana and Nigeria to work together again. And we must have the courage to admit and acknowledge the policies of the past which were wrong. And I respect Professor Jimandua for being always candid. He alluded to the policies from our side which were not helpful. And Professor Bola also made reference from the Nigerian side. And that is why my thinking is that regardless of what has happened, the people-to-people relationships continue to sustain themselves regardless of those officialdom, regardless of those policies. And in a manner, those relationships continue to be beneficial to all of us. We should keep in mind that Ghana and Nigeria, when we work together, we bring a significant contribution, not just to Ghana and Nigeria, but the whole of West Africa. This was the case when Ghana and Nigeria provided the leadership to ensure a collective ECOWAS response to the carnage in Liberia that erupted into civil war and had the potential of destabilizing the entire sub-region. And because of the leadership Ghana provided and Nigeria provided in supporting one another, we then move forward to reframe the whole concept of collective regional approaches that has held West Africa up to now. And this is just one example. Let me use this to make probably a reference elsewhere. Even when we belong to a common community, it is sometimes required that in that community, people stand up and move the rest, be the catalyst for the rest. That's what is happening in Europe. Though we have the European Union, we know that it is Germany and France who reset the button after the Franco-Prussian War and became the engine of growth for Europe that today has been a reference point in terms of how the European Union has been able to form. And that is how I see Ghana and Nigeria within the context of the ECOWAS space, that we can be the engine of growth for our two countries, but also for the rest of West Africa. Previous speakers have referred to other areas we belong together, such as the leadership in the African Union, the Commonwealth, and etc. And that is why I get to probably where I want to make my key highlight and proposal, that we are at the point that Ghanaian and Nigerian diplomacy should seize the moment and look at the current global trends of immense challenges and now be able to say, what does this mean for us? We have the challenges of climate change. Both in Nigeria and Ghana this year, the flooding has been incredible. Last night, we are hearing stories of flooding that is sweeping villages in some northern parts of Ghana, just as in Nigeria. Increasing insecurity brought about by violent extremism and terrorism, which is weighing on all of us. Organized crime, the drug trade, maritime insecurity. And on top of all of this, the additional stress is the pandemic that is global of COVID-19. What these challenges should do is to remind us as brothers and sisters that maybe these challenges are calling us to a new place of upscaling our relationships, making a significant difference by being the two countries that will pull everybody together. Now, what do I mean by this concretely? Why can't Ghana and Nigeria revitalize, re-energize, and reformulate a commission of cooperation, which, by the way, existed in the past? And this commission of cooperation could establish a criteria, could have benchmarks on how we develop, for the lack of a better term, I'm calling it a privileged Ghana-Nigeria relationship. This relationship could be at the economic level, at the social level, at the cultural level, but all of them facilitated by our diplomacy. This privileged relationship, for example, at the economic level, could determine how we harmonize our laws. So beyond what we have in the ECOWAS space, Ghana and Nigeria can decide to harmonize common laws of trade and commerce, in which these rules become the guide of our citizens, so that when Ghanaians are trading in Nigeria, they are educated to understand what this privileged relationship is about and how they are respecting those rules and regulations in Nigeria, not to mention the human relationships that they enjoy in Nigeria, that accordingly they must be respectful for and thankful for the opportunity provided them, and vice versa for Nigerians trading and resident in Ghana to operate within the harmonized regulations we would have set up, with all the respect of hospitality and compliments that it is provided. This is particularly true when Ghana has just become the host of the Secretariat of AFTA, the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. And when we know that in our arguments for an African presence in the United Nations Security Council, the advocacy is that when we are offered 2 seats, we will want Nigeria, for who they are, to take one of those seats, and probably one of the countries down south, it could probably be South Africa for historical reasons, to take the other seat. So you see how these things begin to bind us. Now, equally, when we can have these privileged relationships, it should not stop at the economic level. And I'll try to conclude by not talking for long. Let's take, for example, what Professor Bola was talking about, at the people-to-people relationship. Every year, I have been fascinated to see the Ghana Naja or Naja Ghana Music Festival, in which the talents of these two countries are incredible. In fact, one day I told a friend that our young people are so talented, they are bringing so much joy through music, that some people are so jealous and envious that their countervailing of this happiness we share is to bring misery through terrorism. So why can't our official states support these young musicians so that these cultural festivals in music is not just a private affair, but it's an affair that brings the two countries to celebrate together? And this type of celebration can go beyond music. It can be increasing sports exchanges and festivals, learning tours. Before the pandemic, I saw Nigerian students in buses going to the Cape Coast Castle, Elmina Castle, and spending time in Ghana. And Ghanaian schools started doing the same in Nigeria. Why can't we do more of it so that the people-to-people interaction would increase, and at that level also, the diplomatic level would increase? And The more we do that, the more we can see the tangible effect of a people connected together. And in this regard, to conclude, I couldn't help but go back to the communique of the 1999 ECOWAS summit that was held in Lomé. And I just quote a brief paragraph. I quote, "The heads of state noted the continued existence of numerous illegal roadblocks along West Africa's highways, which impede free movement of persons and the development of intra-community trade." Whereas this was general, President Rawlings, at the end of his term, when he was exiting and preparing to hand over to President John Kufuor, the transition already had kicked off when President Rawlings with President Obasanjo had a meeting in which the two leaders even suggested that why can't Ghana and Nigeria negotiate with Togo and Benin to have a passage to build a direct rail link between Lagos and Accra. The idea was that those flying every day between Lagos and Accra are doing so because it is compelling, but they are paying higher prices for the air tickets. Can you imagine how we would boost trade if the transportation was much cheaper through a rail link? Now, that has not seen the light of day. And what is my conclusion? The previous Professor Bafo Ajimandua talked about vision. In addition to what he said, I will add courage. When leadership has vision, it must add courage in order that you transform and leave a legacy, taking into account that that courage and that vision took risk. And the risk was that let's do it and not be concerned about whether Ghana will be overwhelmed with a Nigerian population or whether Nigeria will be worried about Ghanaians coming in to take over strategic positions. Because we don't know what the future holds when we take this risk and liberate ourselves from poverty and the impoverishment simply because we are fearful of what it means in terms of population, in terms of sovereignty, in terms of what pertains to us, but unleash our potential and make it possible for the generations to say that, look at the example Ghana and Nigeria gave that pulled the whole of West Africa out of poverty. I end here and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. The very punchy lines that you gave, which are facts that the leadership of both countries need to build on. And for me, what is most exciting about this presentation is the fact that every speaker has built on what the previous speakers said. We're looking at we went from a discussion on having a reciprocal apology to centrality of leadership, and you have now taken it from centrality of leadership to both leaders of both countries, rather, working together to give the citizens the respite and the ease of survival that they need. And we really, really appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much. Some highlights that you said, talking about Ghana-Nigeria relationship, when you talked about the rail, I said to myself that if the rail were to exist between Ghana and Nigeria, I believe a lot of Nigerians who live in Nigeria every day come to work in Ghana and go back in the evening, and vice versa. because then it will take you like 3 hours to get here. And both in Accra and in some places in Accra, depending on where you live and the time you go out, you might spend over 2 hours in traffic. And of course, in Nigeria, you spend 3 hours easily moving from Ota to Lagos. So those are the kind of things. But on the lighter note, one thing that is exciting is that while all this is going on, Nigerians, being the assertive people they are, they've developed something. And what they've developed is simple. They've turned Ghana they've developed a new kind of tourist attraction in Ghana. You know, you have health tourism, you have ecotourism. Now Nigerians have developed what they call marriage tourism. We have taken away Becca. We've taken away the daughter of Mr. Alhaji Sidiku Buhari, and we are still coming for more. So Ghanaian brothers, please get ready for us. All right. So I think if I can have the consensus of everybody and the go ahead of everybody, initially we were supposed to break into a session right now, before we now come back to have our speakers in the our media, those that will address the media session. But this morning, like I said, His Excellency, the President of GJA, had an urgent appointment. He had to leave. He has sent a representative, Mr. Kofi Yegua, who will join us shortly. And, it's election year, so many things spring up. And also, Ambassador Bolos Lolo, he also he contacted us saying he had a family emergency this morning. He actually did that earlier in the week, and as a result, he's not going to be a part of us. But right now, we still have two great speakers in the person of the publisher of Inside Watch Africa magazine, who we have arrested in Lagos traffic somewhere, or is it Abuja traffic, or it could even be in South Africa somewhere, but I see he's in a car. And we also have the eminent president of the National Union of Journalists, Nigerian Union of Journalists, Mr. Chris Isiguzo. I always try to put, some additional efforts. So I hope I got your names correctly. So I'm thinking that after our three great speakers have spoken, do we just allow these two speak? Then we have one panel session of the five of you so that we are still able to finish between 12 and 12:15. Is that okay with everyone? Can we go ahead with that? Okay. All right, sir. Great. So we're going ahead with that, and I'd like to call on the publisher of Inside Watch Africa magazine, a great man, a great brother, and someone with great vision who realized that we do a lot of trade talk in Africa and, for example, in West Africa, but we don't have interactions. We don't have, how do we report on trade, specifically trade? So he created a magazine called Inside Watch Africa magazine. And I think he got that insight due to his experience as a former customs officer. So who is this person that I'm speaking about? Mr. Oluwaseyi Adegoke Adeyemo is the CEO of Crystal Media Limited, a multimedia and general communication outfit, publishers of Inside Watch Africa magazine, a quarterly Afrocentric publication through which in the past 11 years, they have continued to document the rich African culture and traditions, as well as covering indigenous and international trading, as well as travel and tours activities within and across Africa. Before venturing into private sector, he had worked with the Nigerian Customs Service, and amongst his numerous achievements, he had the unique opportunity of being part of the team that streamlined and modernized the data gathering and processing of the Customs Intelligence Unit, for which he was aptly rewarded with the Comptroller General's Merit Award. He is a public commentator and current chairman of Programs and Events and Sponsorship Committee of the Nigeria-Britain Association. He has masters in public administration and is a pastor at the First Apostolic Church. Join me as we welcome Mr. Oluwaseyi Adeyemo.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
All right, fantastic. Let me start by thanking everyone that has spoken this morning. I consider it a privilege to be part of this very August gathering. When you have a house that is full of professors and very proficient speakers, like we have in the house, it's just an honor to be part of this. I must also confess that I've learned from what everyone has said. Let me also apologize that
thank you.
I am actually in motion right now. One of the things we need to get right in Nigeria and Ghana is that we almost remember that Ghana is 1 hour behind Nigeria, and so they must be careful at the way we plan our time. So let me just quickly delve into my contributions because it is obvious that the time that we all have is very short. In my opinion, like the last two speakers said, the work that I need to do is quite easy because very, very brilliant, or all sorts of brilliant foundations have been laid for me, historically, theoretically, and strategically. Everything that is needed to be sort of laid on ground have been laid. But I want to dwell on two critical things in my opinion. The first thing that I want to dwell on is the fact that as a people, we need to come to terms with the fact that economics, trade, is at the center of our relationship. And whatever it will cost us to ensure that that time that Ghana had, and they had a need to come to Nigeria, will never come again. Or that time that Nigeria had a problem and they had to go to Ghana will never happen again. I would rather, like it has been proposed by the last speaker, to come in and out every day to trade. And for those who want to live because they prefer to live there, not because things have gotten so bad economically and they have to go. And I believe that is the responsibility of our leaders. Now, the two speakers that spoke before me, I talked about courage and I talked about relationship. I know for a fact that being one at a time, the media consultant for what is known as the Borderless Alliance, we have tried a lot of things in the trade environment to come together as a people, but we have continued to fail because we are not clear about what we're doing. Now, I believe that if only we can be clear, our relationship will be better than it is right now. It's important that we understand that, look, like
All right, we seem to be having problems with the connection.
We need to trade the business ourselves. In fact, the better things have been arranged. In my opinion, those are the knowledge. Okay, you're not hearing me again.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, your line is very muffled, but which means we might not be able to go the full 10 minutes. Yeah, but we can hear you though, but it's just very muffled.
Okay, all right, let me just quickly say one or two things before you completely lose me. I would claim that in doing the reconciliation that Professor has proposed, it is important that we all know that one of the critical things that we need to do is take the good of our history and discard the bad of our history. So when two people want to come together and live together, they do not recall or dwell on their past history. We must make sure that what we dwell on is our good history. We have had great times together. We had university games that brought students together. We had situations where we had a lot of exchange in military circles, where a lot of Nigerians go to Ghana for training, where a lot of Ghanaians come to Nigeria for training. So I believe that those goods are the things we need to dwell on and take advantage of so that this divine arrangement that God has put in place will take full advantage of. The last thing I like to say before I leave is the fact that if our colonial masters saw the need to bring us together for their own good, why can't we, as a people, see the need to come together for our own good? I thank you so much for this opportunity, and I pray that this great initiative that I've started, God will make it work so that all of us can benefit as we ought to from this divine relationship that God himself instituted. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it. Thank you for, if this were a webinar based on your effort right now, we'll call it a webinar of Nigeria and Ghana in motion. Thank you for making our time, though you're in motion, to make this event a success. And what you said is right. If we were brought together by people who needed for their own benefit, because having us together made it easy for them to, back in the day, colonize and manage us. Why don't we just take advantage of that togetherness to build a stronger unit? Like we always say every time, it's something we should even stop talking about. We say, before EU, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah started this. We know he started this, but did he take the vision away with him? No. He left it with us and we did nothing about it. So we need to start acting, and acting a lot better. And I like the fact that you also said, let's take the good of our history and discard the bad ones, because it's like a marriage. If every time as a man or a woman, or let me just say as a spouse, you're always referring to the bad things that your spouse did, especially if your wife burnt the soup one day, and every time she cooks, you're asking, hope this one is not burnt, hope this one is not burnt. You're already destroying the marriage. So let's look for the good things that we do. That's a way to go. So right about now, I'd like to call on my president, the president of Nigeria Union of Journalists. You know, we journalists, our profile is everywhere, and we want you to know everything that we do, so that you won't be tracing us when we are coming to attack you to get stories of you. So we won't be reading the profile for the journalists. We'll just say president of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Mr. Chris Isegozo. Welcome. Over to you.
Well, thank you very much for having me on this webinar this afternoon. It's about it's past 12 here in Nigeria. I know it's past 11 in Ghana.
Yeah.
This is indeed a wonderful initiative. I've taken time to listen to earlier speakers, Mr. Emmanuel Bobade, Professor Akinteriwa, and of course, Professor Bafo. I think I've been able to take a whole lot from the discussions we've had here. For me, I'm coming from the media perspective, because that is where we are more focused. Well, I must have to also say this. I didn't know when I got the invitation actually yesterday. It was explained to me somehow. I didn't know it was going to be this elaborate. I thought I was just going to come, listen, and go. But it's still okay. Having listened to earlier speakers, I'll be able to say one or two things. I must have to appreciate the organizers of this webinar, because it is very clear, looking at positions expressed by earlier speakers, that these two countries are great countries in West Africa, in Africa, and we cannot continue to be at daggers drawn. That is it. The events in recent time clearly have not helped to broaden or cement the existing relationship between Ghana and Nigeria. But it is a good one, an encouraging one, that Nigerians in diaspora organization, Ghana chapter, has decided to put this together. And that simply means that we still want to continue to deepen the existing relationship between the two countries. But beyond this level, because I know that the people that are always at the center of trying to destroy this understanding that we've had over the years, looking at the presentations from the two professors and of course Mr. Emmanuel, the people that are always eager to destroy it and are not given opportunity, they may not be here with us to understand the efforts that have been made by our forebears to cement this relationship. They are not here. For us, we are not, will not be ready to go to the streets and begin to put things down or begin to destroy our friendship, our engagements, our relationship over time. Therefore, it is also imperative that while we create this platform for understanding, to deepen relationship, and of course, ensure that nothing happens to our friendship as two nations, we also need to create other platforms where we can get the Talakawas, that's what we call them here, the Talakawas, so that they also understand the need for us to leave those things that tend to divide us and preach and deepen those things that tend to, unite us as a people. Well, for the media, which of course is central, if we must continue to exist as friends, as brothers, the media. Yes, I see your point. The media is of course very central to this efforts. And I can tell you that at our own level, we have the WAJA, of course, West African Journalists Association. It would have been nice that Money is here with us, but from the moderator, he took permission that he had other engagements today. He would have joined me in expressing these views that I'm also expressing here. We have our WAJA, where we have always related closely. And if you come to that association, Ghana and Nigeria, they play prominent roles in uniting journalists, the media professionals within the sub-region. And of course, at the continental level, we have the Congress of African Journalists. All these are geared, and of course, the Federation of African Journalists, FAJ. We are all using these platforms to further unite the media family in the continent at the sub-regional level. And of course, it will also be proper now that we are creating this platform between Nigeria and Ghana, that we also find ways of creating a media platform that would further unite these countries. Because like somebody said earlier on, when these two countries sneeze, of course, the rest of the continent definitely would catch cold. Therefore, if we continue to operate at daggers drawn, that will not substantially help us. Also, I must have to say it, that it is the role of the media to set the agenda. We seem to have somehow derailed from this path, and we are now giving our political actors opportunity to now become the agenda setters. They now direct us on how to operate. That is completely out of order. The media should be able to set the agenda for the rest of the actors to follow in. But it does appear we are not living up to expectation. Well, in my place, it is said that if we start today to build that synergy, of course, it is still better than not doing anything at all. So this platform that NIDO has put in place would indeed go a long way in uniting us. Of course, somebody talked about the issue of trade, economic commerce being a central issue that unites the two countries, because we are always on the go. Nigerians, Ghanaians, trying to engage in trade and commerce. Yes, that is true. But the media can do this thing very well. By the time we'll get the necessary platforms in place, as I speak, I work with This Day, and I've also floated an online newspaper called the Daily Tracker. That platform can also go a long way in helping us achieve some of these things I'm talking about, so that we understand ourselves. As the publisher of Daily Tracker, I'll be excited to have journalists from Ghana who can buy into this online platform. That way, we can continue to synergize. We can continue to cross-fertilize ideas, exchange ideas that will help deepen our relations. Good. The eminent Professor Kinteriwa talked about the issue of diplomacy, talked about the official, the unofficial, and the virtual. Well, NIDO has provided the virtual diplomacy for us, and I want to indeed take full advantage of this platform that has been created. And to the organizers, Raphael Oni, and of course the moderator himself, you people have done well. Be assured that for us in AUJ in Nigeria, we are very much ready and willing to partner the organization, to work with you, to ensure that we continue to deepen this existing relationship between Nigeria and Ghana. Keep doing what you are doing well. As a parting word, I would say that we must endeavor to continue to look at the positives of our relationship. Let's promote them and not to always celebrate the negatives. The positives far outweigh what appears to be the negatives of this relationship that we've enjoyed over time. Once again, I'm pleased to be part of this platform, and I thank the eminent learned professors that have taken us down memory lane. In fact, a whole lot I've learned from Professor Kinteriwa and Professor Bafo. I didn't know that much, but I've benefited a lot from them today. And it is always a pleasure listening to Professor Kinteriwa. I'm so delighted, so pleased, sir, to be on this webinar with you. Is a pleasure, sir. Once again, thank you very much to the organizers for having me. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Thank you. It's fantastic. And how you said, we need to set the agenda as journalists and not allow politicians or time set the agenda for us. We need to be very purposeful with our reporting. But you made a statement that I'd like to correct, and allow me. You said that when Ghana and Nigeria sneeze, Africa catches cold. Please, that is not right. Times have changed. We are in a new normal. When Ghana and Nigeria sneezes, or when Ghana and Nigeria sneeze, Africa catches coronavirus, and we don't want that. So let's get it right. So that's about it for now. I would like to call on the next speaker, who is representing the president of Ghana GJA, Ghana Journalists Association. NUJ just got me confused. Of Ghana Journalists Association, and that is in the person of the General Secretary of the GJA, Mr. Kofi Yeboah, who for now is showing us his head. Can you tilt your camera down, Mr. Yeboah? We're ready for you.
Is it okay,
All right.
please?
Yes, it is. Please go ahead. Maximum of 10 minutes.
Right. Thank you very much. And from Accra, may I say good morning to everyone. Yeah. And may I also apologize on behalf of the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, who had willingly accepted to be part of this program, but had to be called into an emergency meeting in the last hour. So he asked me to represent him and to extend his sincerest apology. May I also say a very big thank you to the organizers of this program and for giving me the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you. I extend my compliments to the earlier speakers, particularly Mr. Emmanuel Bombande and Professor Bafwa Ajimendria, two eminent personalities I've respected a lot. And I quite remember when I was a reporter at the leading newspaper in Ghana, the Daily Graphic, they gave me a lot of front page stories, because when they speak, it is full of wisdom, and I respect them so much. Mr. Moderator, may I also refresh your memory that Nigeria also took away the daughter of one of our late vice presidents, Alhaji Aliyu.
Aliyu Muhammad, yes.
And I know because I used to be a correspondent in his office, and I attended that wedding. It was a fantastic occasion. I'm very happy. I've been following the discussions, and I've learned a lot. I want to, from the media perspective, I want to make the point that the kind of relationship we are talking about was also well established on the media front. And Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana, established the Accra Evening News and worked closely with Nnamdi Azikiwe. And the Accra Evening News was a major tool that they used to propagate their anti-colonial agenda. So right from the onset, the media has played a key role in terms of the independence struggle, and thereafter in terms of establishing a bond between the peoples of Nigeria and Ghana. I also know for a fact that in the past, much earlier than I enrolled at the Ghana Institute of Journalism, there were many Nigerians who came down to Accra to train. And so that relationship has always been there. And also beyond that, we also had experiences where there were Ghanaian correspondents based in Nigeria. For example, the Ghana News Agency had an office in Lagos, and through that, we were able to get the kinds of stories from Nigeria that also affected us, or that were of paramount interest to us. Even though today, as we speak, I don't know of any media organization in Ghana that has a foreign office in Nigeria, but I guess it is something that we will want to try and pursue. My big brother, the president of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, spoke about the need for the media to set the agenda. I couldn't have agreed with him more, because we have to play that role essentially so that our leaders will follow suit. We shouldn't leave the agenda setting role to our leaders. It is a key function of the media. And once we are able to drive that function, I believe we'll be able to address some of the issues we've been facing. I had Mr. Moderator earlier talked about tourism issues. I had the opportunity to visit the cross.
Sorry, Mr. Yeboah, can you unmute, please? Please do that. Can't hear you now. Can you unmute? It's at the bottom of your page, bottom left. You see a microphone there. I still can't hear you. Okay, now you're on.
I'm on
You're
now.
on.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that.
All right.
So I was saying that in December 2006, I had the opportunity to visit the Cross River State in Nigeria. And I was then attending the program. We had a workshop on the Obudu Cattle Ranch. And it is such a wonderful place. I cannot imagine why people will be traveling to Dubai for holiday when Obudu Cattle Ranch is around here in Africa. And for me, I think these are some of the areas the media can collaborate both the media in Ghana and Nigeria to enable our journalists know each other very well. And one of the things we haven't done so well is that we don't know our countries well. And if we will find a way of reaching out or collaborating to do an exchange program whereby Ghanaian journalists will be visiting Nigeria and Nigeria journalists also will be coming down here, I think it is going to strengthen our relationship, and we are going to appreciate and understand each other so well, so that when we are setting the agenda, we will know the right agenda to set. So that has been something on my heart, and I hope a time will come that we'll do this. One thing I also think we haven't done well, I mean the media, that we need to do is to forge a partnership in terms of the stories we do. I think if you look at both countries, our development needs and challenges are virtually the same. So is it possible for us to collaborate and find a common developmental issue that cuts across Nigeria and Ghana, and then we team up to work on to address those issues? Many a time, the media, we tend to be too individualistic. I don't know where that comes from, but I think teamwork, especially in our part of the world, will be very needed in addressing our issues. Sometimes there are so many things that have happened in the past. And for example, as we speak now, there's a big issue in Ghana here as to whether Nigerians in small trade activities should be allowed or not. I think these are things that we in the media can help shape so well, so that we will take away animosity. As moderator said earlier, now we are marrying each other. And so there will come a time that you can't tell a Nigerian from a Ghanaian or a Ghanaian from a Nigerian. So we need to find ways of living together as one people. And I think if the media is to take a lead role in some of these things, we'll be able to clarify the issues and set the agenda right. I think I'll end here. If there are any issues, I may come back later to address them. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Well said. I think we journalists, we don't speak a lot, we write a lot, or we analyze. If you were to tell us to analyze all what the speakers have said now, I'm very sure even a whole day won't be enough for Mr. Yegua to talk about it. So that's what we do. You need to see them analyzing the budgets after it is passed. You will know that politicians really have it in for themselves. So we've heard from all 5 speakers, and it is very important that we just break out into some sessions and have a little chit-chat discussions. Probably you want to elaborate on some of the things that you said earlier on, or maybe we have people that like to ask questions, some of the participants here. And I'll just say, if you have a question to ask, please just hit the raise your hand button so that we can see you and that you have a question. You can either go to, I think we can go to reaction, we can manage that. Once you go to reactions and send, you click on reaction icon on your phone and you're able to ask a question. So I'll raise you, indicate that you have a question. So the 2 journalists have spoken, and it's all the same thing, saying we need to come together and live as one. We need to come together and live as one. We need to exchange ideas. We need to communicate better. We need to identify what is going on in both countries. And as we break out into the sessions, and as we do that, I'd like to ask all our speakers to activate their audio on mute so that any questions that we have, we can come up now. Now, as we get into this act, we've asked people on Facebook. We are live on Facebook as well, so people, we've asked them to send in the questions. But while we're waiting on that, I'd like to just state one thing. Two things I see that are the challenges we face as a people, the challenges that are rocking our relationship. I know our professors have spoken about the historic challenges of deportation and counter-deportation and etc. But as it stands now, I just wonder why these two things I believe still affect us. One is unhealthy sibling rivalry, where citizens of either or both countries would always want to come out tops, always want to be the one that is shining, the shining lights. And we told that we are better than you, we are better than that. That's one. Sibling rivalry is normal, but when it becomes unhealthy, then there's a challenge. The second one is fake news. I remember about 20 years ago when there was a match that was ongoing, and someone told me, he said, why are you supporting Ghana? I'm told that in Nigeria, when Ghana is playing a match, Nigerians are always in support of the other, what's it called? Other team that is playing. I think maybe if we have, where's Mr. Chris Isigbuzo, rather. Mr. Chris, if you're here, okay, I think maybe it's muted or somewhere. So, I mean, this kind of statement, I was shocked because all my life growing up, I know that when after Nigeria, it is Ghana, not even Cameroon that is next door. We're always hailing for that. And so such reporting, false reporting on both sides are things that still bring about a lot of apathy or kind of, I don't want to use hatred or I'll say infamy between both countries. Now, with this, my question is, let me ask the first question before I finally start taking questions from the platform first, then we go to Facebook. My question is, with all what we've said now, we realize that the countries, the leadership of each country, like Professor Bafo Ajimandua said, that when Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings came into power, Nigeria wasn't really in support. But of course, I know as a fact that right now, even a few years ago when we're in a meeting, we're talking about how they still call themselves, and that's President Rawlings and IBB, they still call themselves. It seems the leadership has gotten over the challenges, the deportation and counter-deportation, but the citizenry has not, because we still have so many exchanges. How can we resolve this? Where do we start from? I'd like to take Professor Ajiman Dua, then any other person will go in that order. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, good friend moderator. You're right. Today, I think the leadership question is not prominent anymore. But we have to bear in mind it can rise up again depending on who gets into leadership. That's the warning or the caution I was giving. So today, certainly that aspect of the relationship is muted because we seem to be, the leadership seems to be on the same bandwidth. But I did mention briefly in my former remarks the introduction of the Ghana-Nigeria Games by General Champon in the 70s, mid-70s. That was a major initiative to build rebuild the relationship. So today we are seeking to strengthen relations between the two nations. That possibly could be an interesting subject to revisit. Something that can bring us together annually or occasionally, perhaps twice a year, where citizens, and this will be in support of one of the recommendations by my good friend Professor Hakim Tereniwa, where he was talking about the people-to-people relations or citizen diplomacy. That could be to further that particular point. But sports is one area. My good friend, brother Bombardier also mentioned this annual Ninja musical affairs. Certainly, that's something that can be brought into the mainstream of relationship instead of privatizing it for the music associations in the two countries. It can become a major international, official international kinds of activity, and many more. Exchange of journalists. I think my good friends in the journal, Kofi Eboa, mentioned that. So I guess I'm saying that there are several initiatives that can be brought about by our respective governments as a way of developing more people-to-people relationships. Because you're right, the sibling rivalries are there. I mean, look, you remember in the late 50s and early 60s when Ghana made Nigeria in soccer games, you were talking about 7-0 or 5-2 and that kind of stuff. That was part of it. In fact, that's from there because Ghana saw itself as an ant defeating the elephant by so many goals in the single match. Today it's not there. Today, Nigeria national team, Ghana has to strive not to even get a draw. So things have changed. So I guess the point I'm making is that we can begin to introduce some of these people-to-people activities that will help to gradually kind of dismantle these kind of rivalries. And I think if we see our leadership doing that, it inspires ordinary people to also begin to change their mind. So whilst I'm not still projecting the issue of leadership, I'm still arguing that that should be the key. Our leaders should start that ball rolling through their own policies and others for ordinary citizens, and also through education to begin to accept that it doesn't pay anyone to be conflicted over matters such as trade. So this is my initial comment to you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Oh, I've gone off again. Hello, can you hear me? All right. I'm saying your comment will have been perfect, sir. Knowing how eloquent you are, it will have been a fantastic comment. But for the fact that you reminded us of the 7-0 defeat. So that's...
I wanted to rob it in a
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So, Prof Akiteriwasa, can we have your comment in that regard?
Yes, I think we need not belabor the issue. The solutions are on table. First of all, let's begin with what the moderator himself said. You said the webinar is on motion. We are having a webinar on motion. So we are already beginning it. Then the third speaker, I've forgotten his name. He reminded us of the Franco-Prussian War, 1871, and that people, the Germans, the French, had forgotten. Robert Schuman and Jean Monnet in 1951 laid the foundation for the then European Economic Community. They forgot 1871 completely. So the same thing you have just said that, look, what is the problem now sleeping, talking about the past when we are supposed to be moving forward? I think that what we should quickly do, like the two journalists have said, let this webinar in motion be the starting point. And they say the journalists should set the agenda. The agenda now should simply be, I want to strongly believe, that look, the mistrust of the past should be thrown into the dustbin of history, then set an agenda of trust building at our level, and that will solve the whole issue. The problem, you cannot ask others to solve your own problem. Since the initiative is yours, that look, let's do something. Jimmy Cliff said that, look, better days are coming. That's the title of one song. Let's lay the foundation for better days to come. And I think that with that one, the problem will have been solved more than 50%.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. I don't know if Mr. Bombande or any other speaker has a comment in that regard before we move on. Kindly unmute, sir. You are still muted. Technology seems to be doing us in. You're still muted, sir. We can't hear you. I think an Alt A will unmute. That's a shortcut for unmute. Alt A should do that. Okay. While we're waiting for Mr. Bombande to join us, do we have any of our panelists want to address that?
Okay, I will.
Okay.
Emmanuel, try to get yourself back on track. But meanwhile, talking about this, you know, the formation of the ECOWAS,
Yes,
which
sir.
we are still seeking to strengthen.
Yes.
Again, you may recall the strong relationship between Yakubu Gowon and a champion that really led to the formation of ECOWAS in 1975. And interestingly, Yakubu Gowon met a champion at this military institution in England, both as cadets. And in fact, when Yakubu was overthrown whilst attending a Commonwealth meeting, he came back to Ghana to stay for a while before he found his way out. So I'm just citing this as another example where the leaders of our countries have had some very important positive impact if they tend to relate well. Okay, so that's just an additional information I wanted to throw in.
All right, sir.
Also, the famous West African gas pipeline. Because before that project, Nigeria was simply burning its gas in the air. You remember one time I flew over Port Harcourt and there were about 20 multiple fires all over the place. I was wondering, and I was told that Nigeria was simply burning away its gas because they were not utilizing it. And it was to force conversation with Obasanjo that led to the initiation of that project. So there have been so many important initiatives in our relationship, inspired by the leaders we had at the time, which have now become something of mutual benefit, not only for Ghana and Nigeria, but also all these countries on the line, you know, in the West African coast. So I really want to encourage that as we
all right, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Bombande, I'll advise if you just log out and re-log in, maybe the computer just got a bit tired of staying online for so long. Oh, the mouse is acting up. Okay. All right. Okay, then I will have, there is someone who indicated Lady Faye. Can you unmute and have a chit chat with us? You have a comment to make? Lady Faye Osewala, I hope I'm right. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good afternoon from Ghana.
Good afternoon.
Yes, please. I am Faustina Esi-Youngson, and I was so glad to see a meeting like this between Ghana and Nigeria. I am a Ghanaian, but I'm a product of FUT, so I live in Mina for almost 30 years. My dad is still there.
Wow.
So I have tested the both sides. Yes, I've tested the both sides, and I'm going to say this. Personal experience. I've been able to go up to Kurungugu, that's somewhere in Kano, where the police secondary school is, and other places. Other places that maybe some Nigerians have not received. Our problem in Ghana is insecurity and data. If we can get our data accurate, and I know you, you know me, I do a bad thing, you can just trace me. Look, a lot of issues will be solved. If we, West Africa, can get our data right, data, first of all. Now I see Ghana is doing a card, which is very beautiful, the ECOWAS card. I have one. I don't know if Nigeria is doing same. I would say the leaders, when they meet, if they can have collaboration and it's all become one, because we have an issue of the passport, some being fake, but the way I see the card, it has a chip, so that means it's going to be reaccurate. If that data can go all around and you know me, you can trace me, look, a lot of issues will be solved. And our network providers, when I mean network provider, phones, there are some numbers you would like to even track as a person, because we have some software that can see the name. There is no name. How does such a person buy a phone or owns a number and you can't even trace his name? So we have a lot of things on ground as Africans we can use to get some of this that has done very easy if we want. We all went to school. We're all born somewhere in a hospital. So right from the day we are born, we can get our data. If we don't get it, now we are using mobile phone. So please, I think data should get, Africa should get these two things, security and accurate data, and any other thing we take care of. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much. We really, really do appreciate you for this comment. I think we have Mr. Bombande back online.
Yes. And thank you, my good sister, for very concrete and practical suggestions. I'm not adding any new things except to say that this platform is interesting because it is led by our media practitioners, both from Ghana and Nigeria. And in that regard, the question is, how do we engage in the advocacy that influences the policy level alongside some of the ideas that were put together? Because some of these ideas are very concrete, but we need to work at them for, if you would call it, an actualization. And that is always the challenge we have in Africa, that we have ideas, but the challenge is to translate them and move them concretely. So maybe after this webinar, if you people could sit down and strategize that out of these ideas, how do we get the ball rolling from Abuja and Accra about moving these issues forward? And maybe creativity would inform us to be able to take that forward. The second comment, which has been alluded to, is the very important role of education. See, there is a certain attitude about the human person. If I think that I'm in a situation in which if I have monopoly of, let's say, trading in a particular commodity, and I see others trying to trade in that commodity, there is a false sense of insecurity that competition is beginning to emerge and that I might lose out. So Nigerian traders in Ghana could bring that anxiety to some traders in our markets and vice versa. And Nigerian traders also seeing that. How do we engage in the type of civic education that changes the mentality and says that you actually stand to benefit if the market is expanded and the scope is expanded and the consumer at the end of the day can even have lower prices and you can sell more and be able to turn around very quickly your profit margins. So the point I'm trying to make here is, alongside this, we need to engage in the type of education about what exists between us as Ghana and Nigeria that has so much value. And I think Professor Bola has made that statement, that let us not be apprehensive and insecure about one another, but let's rather enhance what has come to us and maximize it to our mutual benefit. But that cannot just happen. It has to happen with the type of education that can come about. Now, to conclude, that education has to confront the politics. We cannot run away from it. Because it is the politics that sows the ideas in people that, wait a minute, I stand for your interests and I will not allow an expanded Ghana-Nigeria trade relationship because it will not benefit you. We need a counter-narrative. And that counter-narrative has to happen in the realm of the politics. The civil society, the media, and of course, there are champions in the politics who want the integration to even be faster. Professor Bafo Ajumanju has given us the examples of how a friendship between President Kufuor and President Obasanjo can expand the frontiers and do quite a lot. And so I would want to put it back to our initiators, congratulate you for this initiative, but ask you to think strategically and more concretely how we advocate to reach the policy-making spaces. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, and that's quite an exciting comment. Do we have further questions, please? Do we have further questions? Because it's 12 o'clock, we're meant to end at 12. We started on time, and we're meant to want to end on time. So maybe we just take one or two more questions and we call it a day. And what is key? Okay, Mr. Raphael Uni, please go ahead. Mr. Raphael Uni, go ahead, please. You are muted. Unmute yourself, please. We still can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. It's not a direct question. Somebody just asked a question now, directed to Professor Bola Akitewa. Say, how can our leaders, it should throw more light on how can our leaders foster unity. I think the person is, someone put the name. So the question is directed to Professor Bola Akitewa to throw more light on what needs to be done from the leadership level to foster unity.
All right, Professor Akitewa, that question is for you, sir. Prof. Okay. Prof is here, but...
Hello?
Yes, sir, great.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. I'm sorry, I was cut off because there was electricity outage. So I have to quickly arrange to put on the generator. So,
all right, sir.
Now, if I heard the question very well, it is what is it that can be done at the level of our leaders?
Yes, sir.
Was that the question? Okay.
Mr.
If that
Oni,
was the question,
does that fairly represent your question, Mr. Raphael Oni? Please go on, sir. Go on,
okay.
Prof.
You see, fortunately in Nigeria, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria mandates the media practitioners to monitor political governance. So, any question dealing with our leaders at the level of Nigeria must begin with the journalists themselves. So, where our leaders are not performing well, are not doing anything at all, it is now left for the journalists in Nigeria, for instance, to draw attention to it and to ask questions and to make the leaders talk, to make the leaders work, to make the leaders see the reason. My brother Bobande was talking about integration. The integration he talked about, more or less, is at the level of government to government. We've not been having people-to-people integration. And that is precisely what we should be doing. So I want to strongly believe that, look, if we really want to do anything at the level of the bilateral ties of government to government or people to people, then this platform, which you say, and you rightly said it too, is on motion. It's already in motion. So depending on the velocity you want to drive your vehicle, is also a political will. You have to determine that. As we are laying foundation for citizen diplomacy. Now, I think this is one of the pillars of the foundation. You should just sit down, work out an agenda, what the issues to begin to address. And then the next webinar and so on and so forth will continue. The journalists in Nigeria can even ask their own government to find a way of funding whatever webinar activities you want to engage in. Ditto for our brothers in the Ghana. It is what you want, please, that will be done. Everything is a function, it's a resultant of the political will of the people. The people have the ultimate right and decision as to what will happen. Legitimacy is derived from the people. And when we talk about sovereignty, the sovereignty of the people cannot be superior to delegated authority to the government. So please, I want to believe that when we put on scale the sovereignty of the government and the sovereignty of the people, I think the sovereignty of the people cannot but take the precedence. So this is the way I want to look at it.
All right, sir.
So you have done well by convening this particular meeting, but you will do better, for instance, if you are able to sustain it. And I strongly believe in the reflection of Bombardier, my brother, by taking us back to 1870. If the French and the Germans can forget their Franco-Prussian War, all right, we knew what Bismarck did by that time. If they can now set aside the historical challenges and they now decided now to build a new Europe, leading to the March 25, 1957 Rome Treaty, what is it now that Nigeria and Ghana, the people of Ghana and the people of Nigeria, cannot now provide leadership? Please, I think if we are not making progress, we should no longer talk about the colonialists, and we should not talk about our leaders. We should talk about ourselves.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. You've passed the baton on to us, the people, that we have the capacity to entrench the people-to-people relationship. And from what you all have said thus far, I just picked out some notes from it, especially when Professor Akiterewa was reaching out to Mr. Bombande, and he called him a Yoruba name, Bobande, and we should get you, you're one of the people we should get a passport to come to Nigeria. But I mean, then it got me thinking that all the solutions we've given thus far are targeted at like a noun, an immediate solution. But I think we need to consider as well a long-term solution, because whatever we have now, we need to entrench it in the hearts of our children so that they that are growing up will see Nigerians as brothers and will see Ghanaians as brothers and sisters. And we need, that is one key thing we need. And I think one of the things we can do is probably start by engaging our ministries of education to ensure that at least in each country, since we've been trading together for so long, even while I dare say that while the Gutag and Nutag conflict or tension was heightening in Accra, there were still Nigerians that were planning to come and set up shops in Accra. So you can't stop the integration. So I think that one major thing we should consider, which would ease out all the tension, is what we call language. Language plays a very important role. And I believe Professor Akitenriwa and Mr. Bombande will agree with me on this. They are the polyglot. They speak in between them. I'm sure they speak over 50 languages in between the two of them across Africa and the world at large. So, and for every time I speak French, and I've worked in the media houses in Togo and Benin and the likes, and I realized that whenever I travel with my colleagues across West Africa, I hardly have problems at the borders compared to my Ghanaian or my Nigerian colleagues. Because once I get there, I switch. I used to speak very little ever, but I've lost all of it. I stopped eating akplen, so my ever is missing. And the fact that you can speak a bit of Ghanaian languages, Twi, a bit of Ghan, all that, it opens doors to you. So what they will have done to you as a foreigner, they see you as somebody that is sympathetic to the culture. So I think if we're able to get our ministries of education to say, okay, in Ghana, it's as you grow up, choose a language. Maybe when you get to the secondary school, maybe SS2 or SHS1 or whatever, choose a language, Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, Efik, Ibibio, any Nigerian language. In Nigeria, to choose a language, a Ghanaian language, so that already by the time you come here or you meet each other, there's this synergy, there's this understanding. I think that will play a very important role. And also, when we look at us at times, yes, Mr. Ralph, I've seen you. When you look at us at times, it's difficult to tell who is a Nigerian. Because, for example, it could be Nigerian, it could be Ghanaian. If you hear the name Duka, Duka is a name in the central region. It's also a name in the Cross River part of Nigeria. It could be Ghanaian, it could be Nigerian. We have a very popular Nigerian actor called Patata. Atta is a Ghanaian name, but I was shocked when I saw ATTAH in Nigeria. I was like, what is going on? And we also have the Jams, the DJEN, the Gan Jam in Plateau State, Jos. They also have the Jams there as well. So in essence, who is Nigerian, who is Ghanaian? I wish we could build a bridge that will link from Lagos, cross over Cotonou, Lome, and just land here at the border here, so that we don't go to any country. Then we are like one nation, and we can live and trade in peace. So, Mr. Ralph, let's have your submission. It seems you don't have any other submission after this. We'll wrap up.
I want to say thank you to everyone that's taking time to join this all-important webinar. Kudos to my colleague, Mr. Elijah. I'm just seeing him specially for the very first time, but we've been able to work together through the relationship I maintain with some Ghanaian friends, and I've only advocated that we can all work together, bring Nigeria and Ghana together. Thanks to my friend Danny, a Ghanaian, who linked us up to set up this meeting. The fact remains that I believe the Nigerian Union of Journalists, the Ghana Association of Journalists should come up with a blueprint. Anybody who is going to report diplomacy, this is a special field, it's a specialized field. It's not just general purpose journalism. Once we have people who are specialists in reporting diplomacy, who are explaining things to people, they know what it takes to be able to dampen some tension. So I want to say thank you, Mr. Elijah, for working with you and everyone, Professor Akita, we are so grateful. Professor Bombardier, and we are grateful for your time. We want to say thank you also to my media colleagues, Princess Harris in Ghana, Gloria, all of you. Thank you for coming. And a very good thank you to our national president, Princess Bibuzo. I want to say thank you. We look forward to another. This is just a certain time. We are going to build on it, and we want to assure you that we're not going to disappoint you. Thank you, Mr. Elijah.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ralphoni. And you hammered on one thing that we haven't talked about, which is the fact that we have technology to our use. We can use technology to do anything. We've been chatting since, I think, August or somewhere, when Danny reached out after I had the conversation with him and reached out, and we started working on this, and with Nido and a couple of other people. And I dare say we also need to thank Nido. We also need to thank Nido for accepting to host and be a part of it, play an integral role in this activity. But we need to use technology better. We need to use technology more. We need to rely on technology to make sure that we get the best out of both countries. And it's been a wonderful time being with you all here. I'd like to call on a member of Nido, who is a member of the committee that worked with myself and Mr. Raphael Oni in putting this thing together. Her name is Khadija Alali. With her name and her looks, she could pass easily for a Ghanaian. And so that's to show how integrated we are. So Khadija, she'll be giving us, okay, before we call her for closing remarks, do we have any further comment from our speakers so that we wrap up the panel? It's been a wonderful time with you. Any further comments from you, please? No. Okay. So thank you so much.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, yeah.
The final comment I would want to make is that I think I will propose an annual Congress of Ghanaian and Nigerian journalists to further discuss how best we can move our countries forward. So President comes, I will have a discussion with him, and we'll see how best to initiate this idea. So we may meet every year in Ghana, Nigeria, to agenda for it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. That's quite an apt contribution. And before I call on Khadija Alali, I'd like to say that in view of the conflicts that is happening between Ghana and Nigeria, in Ghana, the trade, I won't call it war, I say the trade tension, NIDO has taken steps while all this was going on, reaching out to some Nigerians and some other people to see how we could get this resolved so that Nigerians will not appear to be people that do not obey the law of a particular land. And NIDO is working on a mall, not just for Nigeria this time, but for African businesses in Ghana. A big mall is coming up. It's in the works, and I'm sure NIDO or the actual people behind it will reach out to the media at some point to see how a talk will be done of that place and how people could be introduced to the mall. And so this is all just to agree to obey the laws of the land, while everybody that's participated in this conference, we work together to ensure that countries in West Africa do not just ratify treaties and still have laws in their countries that work against the treaties. Because after the review of the ECOWAS treaty says that each country is expected to work towards facilitating trade between both nations. And I think we just need to keep working on that policy. But in the meantime, that mall is coming up. More of it will come on later on. I saw a hand being raised up, Mr. Christian Peck. Please go ahead and make your submission.
Okay, Elijah, thank you so much. I just want to agree with my General Secretary, Mr. Kofi Yeboah, that there's the need for Ghana and Nigerian journalists to work together. At the parliamentary level, those of us in Ghana's parliament, reporting Ghana's parliament, we have made some initial effort with our Nigerian counterparts. And so I believe the call by the General Secretary is in the right direction. If journalists of both countries come together and agree on common issues, we are better positioned to say, and it will go a long way to help the cause of the integration.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. It's highly appreciated. So a lot of talking points have come up in this webinar, and we believe, like our speakers have charged us, that we need to work towards not just making it a talk shop, but actualizing this, and we believe we'll be doing that with the speakers. I'd like to hand over to Ms. Khadija Alali to give us the closing remarks. All right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. This webinar has been a huge success, and I'm really privileged to be a part of it. I'd like by saying thank you to the organizers, Mr. Rafaluni, NIDO Ghana, and all the sponsors who helped make today a reality and a success. And I would also like to thank our speakers for honoring our invitation and helping us to understand better Ghana-Nigeria relationship for the past 60 years. Professor Bola Akintayiwa, Professor Bafo Ajimandua, Emmanuel Habuka Bombande, Mr. Oluwase Adeyemo, Mr. Afel Money for also allowing us the privilege of listening to Mr. Kofi Yeboah, and Mr. Chris Isiguzo Thank you all so much. The goal for today's event was to talk about people-to-people relationship, how well we are doing, how far we have come, and what we need to do to further strengthen our relationship and make life easier for Ghanaians and Nigerians living together, working together, and doing businesses together. Has that goal been achieved today? I'll say a big yes. So I'd like to congratulate everyone for what we have achieved so far today. We have talked a lot about the history of our relationship as it affects us politically and socially as a people. We have also talked about suggestions that we could use to move ourselves forward. And I really appreciate the media owning their role in this whole people-to-people relationship, how they are responsible for helping us change the narrative, of setting the agenda for those of us who are either politically or otherwise participants in this whole situation. So I'll say a big congratulations to all of us for achieving the goal that was set out today at this webinar. And I'd like to say, like the moderator has spoken, that yes, NIDO Ghana and other sponsors who would like to operate in the background are doing a whole lot to make sure that Nigerians do not flout the laws of our host nation, and at the same time, we are comfortable and we are able to do businesses and also achieve success in this country that we have found ourselves in. As we in the discussion have noticed, a lot of marriages have taken place. I am also married to a Ghanaian, and I don't see a reason or a situation where I would want to make this place uninhabitable for me and my family. So I would like to say thank you. However, we have said so much here today, and I do not think it stops here. It really doesn't stop here. There's a lot for us to do. We have also brought about suggestions: security, data, the media changing the narrative, civic education, creating more awareness, and also that this webinar will just be the first of many. All the solutions and suggestions that we have brought forward are very positive, but they need action to make sure that they work. And so it is on each and every one of us to push this agenda forward, to help the media in all the ways that we can, to make sure that they are also getting the right information, to make sure that we are also doing that is expected of us. Professor Bola Akinteriwa spoke about trust and mistrust. Trust, we all know, is earned. And so we as individuals, as people, we need to make sure that we earn the trust of our host country, and they also earn our trust, that we know we are safe in their hands, and they also know that they are safe having us around. So on this note, I wouldn't want to drag us further because we have gone beyond the time. I would like to say a wonderful thank you to everyone. A lot of rebranding has to be done, and we are ready. And I'm grateful for what Mr. Chris Isiguzo said. The media is always ready. And Kofi Yeboah reiterating by asking for the annual congress between journalists from both nations. I would want to say thank you. That is a step in the right direction. And so we should take this home with us, and we should continue. We, on our part as NIDO, we would make sure that this doesn't end here. We will continue to do our part and continue to work hard to make sure that Nigerians in diaspora do not only live well, but also participate in the development of their country back home. Once again, thank you all. Thank you to the organizers. And thank you, Mr. Moderator, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you and have a very wonderful day.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for everybody for attending. Yes, you deserve a round of applause. That was a good summary to it all. And it's been wonderful having us here. It's a pleasure for me moderating this event. And I wish we could just say, let's give a standing ovation to our speakers for making our time to be here. That shows your interest. Mr. Bombade is busy at the office. Mr. Professor Bafo Ajimandua is very busy, very charged as well. Professor Akiterewa is a lover of Nigeria and will do anything for Nigeria in spite of his very extremely busy schedule. And of course, Raphael Oni, myself, at times we're talking 2 a.m. when we're doing this planning, and we're not sleeping, working over it, re-strategizing and everything. And thank you all for attending this, taking you out of a busy schedule. And I'd like to say, and thanks to NIDO and to the executives of NIDO. Some of them are on the platform. Mr. Samuel Bamidele Temitokwe, I was hoping he was going to speak, but he didn't. Mr. Adeniji Adetunji, And yes, those are the two that are here now. And and of course, our president of NIDO, thank you for the collaboration and for the time to do this. I'd like to end with just one simple statement. As Nigerians in Ghana, would like to end using the quote from the President of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. During his inauguration, he said, "Don't be spectators, be citizens." And I think that's what we need to charge ourselves today. So we are merging Ghana and Nigeria as one country. So this is the Republic of Ghana, and we're saying, let's all be citizens and not spectators. Congratulations, Nigeria. Happy birthday to Nigeria. And let's continue to live beyond 60. God bless Ghana. God bless the Republic of Ghana. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you, everybody, and definitely have a wonderful day. We'll see you next year or sometime in May if this other event comes up. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, sir. Bye.
Elijah, congrats, guys. You've done well.
Thank you, sir.
Right. It was beautiful. Sakadida, pleased to meet you. Did well.
Thank you, Lady K. Nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bye.
All right. All right, then bye. If you want to contact Nido, you could just go on the Nido platform and drop notes and comments there. And you could also just, I'm adding a number on a WhatsApp number. You can all reach that WhatsApp number. I've just added that now. It should be in the chat. So just check the chat session. You should see it there. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Mr. Kwesese, Media Extraordinaire from Ghana, and every other person that attended. Have a great day. Bye-bye.